remember pushing the button, but obviously I did. Anyway, just getting set up, so I cancelled that one. Anyway, so as I say, welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in southern Tasmania. I'm going to do a couple of cards for you today, but both with this particular fold, which I discovered on Pinterest recently and thought I would give it a bit of a go. This is the original, well, not the original, but this is the one I've done for this particular demonstration, the sample I did. It's a Christmas card, which seems weird, but I'm actually part of a group chat swap at the moment, a card swap with my little Australian card swap group, and we're doing Christmas in July, so I'm actually making some Christmas cards specially for that. So I thought this is an ideal fold just for something for a little bit extra special as a Christmas card. So you can probably see some components here you recognise if you've watched me over the years. These are our little poinsettias from last year's July to December mini catalogue, but they have actually continued through to the current annual catalogue, so it's really great. I get to use those and show you those for another 12 months. So as I say, I've bought them out. It seemed quite like I was visiting an old friend when I found the dies in the back of my die storage and was able to sort of bring them out for another go. There are some newer elements to this though, the things that are new. There's some gold sentiments, some gold elements here which are laser cut, which are current new in the catalogue. There's the paper, which is the beautiful, and I've got to remind myself of the name, Simply Elegant paper. It's got some beautiful gold. You can see the gold that's actually in the paper as well. So that's a quite stunning paper. And if you open up with this fold, it's called a pop-up book card. And you can actually see why, because this little central part here, which pops out at you, you can see like that, looks a bit like you've got a book open, sort of suspended in the middle of this card, sort of resting on these two little sort of brackets, top and bottom. So it's quite a lovely fold. It's a little bit tricky to get your head around the cutting and scoring of this central part the first couple of times you do it, but hopefully after you've done it a few times you can, it gets to be pretty much second nature. So sorry, I haven't got my chat on, so I'm not seeing if anyone's coming on. Okay, I've got a few people. Excellent. Hi guys. Hi Kay and Denise and Margie as well. Thanks for joining me. So this is, as I say, a Christmas card for our Christmas in July card swap. So I'm going to do this one in this demonstration, and I'm also going to do one, just a normal birthday version with our beautiful poppy patch bundle. Now, if I kept poppy, I've said it again, it's pansy patch. So if I say poppy or petunia or any other flower that starts with P during this whole presentation, it's supposed to be pansy, and you can overwrite that in your brain. So every time I say some other flower, I think Margie, yes, Margie, you're on. She actually pointed out to me that I said poppy, I think, pretty consistently during a recent video when I actually meant pansy. It's all coloured prettiness to me, but sometimes the tongue gets carried away before the brain catches up. So we'll do this one and the pansy one as well today. So I do have a little template of that fold inside, and as I say, it looks a little bit complicated, but it is actually it's the same both ends. So once you get one end of it right, you just flip your cardstock around and you do exactly the same on the other, coming in from the other end. So basically I'm going to make this is a 5-inch square card. So if you've got 12-inch cardstock, it's quite easy to do a 6x6 version, and then all the numbers become beautiful sort of multiples of 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches. But because I've got to scale, I'm using A4 cardstock as my main beginning, I've had to scale this down to a 5x5, which makes the numbers not quite as rounded and as nice as they could be. So basically you've got a 5 by 10 piece of cardstock. So this is the center of the card. You've got that. You basically score. So score it across the center at 5 inches, basically to form sort of like a 5 by 5. Then you basically, first of all, you get your trimmer, and I'll do this for you. So I'm just showing you my little template, which I'll put into the comments. And you trim from 3/4 of an inch in from the side, so on both sides, 3/4 of an inch in, from 1.5 inches right through to 8.5 inches. So that's a cut line from 1.5 inches to 8.5 inches. And then it's exactly the same, 1.5 inches through to 8.5 inches. So you get that cut, okay? So then you've got a score. So you start scoring, and I'll bring it in this way. You score between the cuts at 1.5 inches and at 2 inches. Then outside the cuts at 3.5 inches. So it's between the cuts at 1.5 and 2, and then from the cut to the outside at 3.5. Then basically you flip it and you do exactly the same thing. Between the cuts at 1.5 and at 2, and outside the cuts at 3.5. So that is the basic cutting and scoring. So I will put this, I'll take a picture of this template and I'll pop it on in the comments on my Facebook page. So if you want to go and pop over there and have a look at that. But anyway, so Margie's asked, did I use thick cardstock? So what I did was, there's actually two, and you'll see in a moment, there's actually two card bases, I suppose you'd call them, for this one. When I was using the very vanilla, I used the thin cardstock to do this inside bit, but I used thick cardstock for the outside, and I'll show you in a moment. I've got one that I've done. If you're doing a cardstock that doesn't have thick and thin versions, you basically just use basic cardstock for both parts of the card. Okay, so I'll pop that aside, and it might be easier if you actually see it in action. So I'm going to do my Pansy one first, and I'm using our beautiful new in colour, which is the Fresh Freesia, which goes beautifully with the designer series paper from the Pansy bundle. So this is what I was talking about. For our card, we have an inside, which is where all the fancy folding happens, but you have an outside as well, which sort of acts like a book cover. So you see a nice flat surface on the outside. So that basically is just a normal 5 by 10 piece of cardstock, and it's been scored at 5 inches to make a 5 by 5. So that's the outside. That's the bit here that you see I've got all the decorations actually on. Okay, so that one, basically you can pop that aside because we're not going to do anything particularly fancy with that, apart from make it look pretty with our stuff on the outside. This is our one. This is the one we're going to be doing all our fancy schmancy stuff to, and I'm going to bring in my trimmer. Okay, I've already scored this one, so it's already got the 5-inch score across the middle. So that one's already been done. So we just have to do the cuts. So I'm going to bring my trimmer in and hope that you can see my light there, my little overhead light. Okay, so we've said the first thing we're going to do is bring it at 3/4 of an inch from both sides. So the good thing with our Stampin' Up trimmers is that you can measure on either side of the cutting line, so you can actually measure in from the outside as well, or from left and right. So I've got it at 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to position my trim blade at 1.5 and start cutting there, going all the way up to 8.5, which is obviously 1.5 inches in from 10 inches. And I'm going to basically flip it around, position it there again, and this time just bringing it back from 8.5 inches back down to 1.5. So there we have those cut marks that we talked about before. Okay, so now we need to do our scoring. So I think I said it the right way before. So we're going to get rid of our cutting blade. Nothing worse than getting your cutting blade and your scoring blade mixed up. So between the cuts, you do a score at 1.5, which is basically where you started that cut line, so that sort of matches up with the start of the cut line. Then you take it another 1/2 inch in and you do another one at 2 inches between the scores. Okay, and you move it along a little bit more to 3.5, and this time you do it above the cut and below the cut. Okay, so there we are. So that's there. Flip it around so you're coming in from the other end and do exactly the same thing. So between the cuts at 1.5, between the cuts again at 2, and then outside the cuts or above and below the cuts at 3.5. Okay, I'll just get rid of my trimmer for the minute. Oh, hopefully it doesn't come crashing down. So you've got this sort of trimmed and cut sort of thing now. Now, to actually get the folds in, I found it easier to fold it in half. Just fold it all in half like that. Okay. And then these 2 little ones on the outside, you need to fold those in on themselves so they form like an M. So you fold them in like that. Okay. And then this is well, one of the first trickiest parts of the card. These little 1/2 inch apart scores that you've done there, and I hope you can actually see them. You want to put them, now I've got to remind myself which way I'm going now. You need to bring them, so the first one is a valley and the second one is a mountain. So you bring them up so you get that sort of look there. You can see there, that's where the book juts out. Okay, and then you do the same on the other side. So it comes up and then across. So you've got that. So what happens when you fold this thing is you've got that. She says, hoping that it'll all work. You've got that. That's it. No, that's not it. Hang on. As I say, you do these things a million times and you get them right, and then the first time you want to do it in public, it just goes terribly wrong. Okay, now that's it there. Okay, so I'll just score that. That one's a little bit out there. You really do need to just have a bit of a fiddle and get it, just actually physically see yourself do it, I think. But you end up with this. And to me, it sort of looks a bit like the Wonder Woman sign. Anyone who watches Marvel movies knows that Wonder Woman has that big like double W on her front, Wonder Woman. So to me, that sort of looks like a bit like Wonder Woman's double W, which is what you're going for. So basically, you've got that there. You've got that there when you look. So there your book is popping out at the front. You've got those sort of brackety bits that we said looks like it's holding the book, top and bottom. Okay, so hopefully that doesn't confuse you too much. As I say, might be something that you definitely need to give a bit of a go. Oh, my hubby's back. Hubby went swimming this morning and he's just gone and got his second COVID shot. So we're waiting to see how he goes with his side effects. Okay, so now we can bring in the plain card front that we made that's also 5 by 5, and you're actually basically just going to glue this sort of fancy schmancy folding that you've just done perfectly in line, top, bottom and sides with the card base that you created. Sorry, I went off the screen a little bit there. So there, just like that. So the thing to do there is to get some glue or some snail or whatever is your glue of choice, and you only put the glue on this sort of C section on either end. So here and here. These are the only 2 areas that you glue that will secure your book in place. I'm just going to do one end at a time because then I otherwise end up with a big gluey mess. Just bring in your card base, line those 2 up so they match perfectly, and just glue that C section in place. So we've got that one there. That's the first one. Okay, so then just flip it open a little bit, add some glue to the mirror image of our C, and then line it up with the card, move it into place and firm it down. Okay, so there we have our floating book. When you close these, the best thing to do is put your thumbs on this bit that's actually your book and force that out to close it. Otherwise it tends to disappear in there and you lose the effect of that really nice book inside. So when you're closing it, grab your thumbs, bring that out and then close it like that. And that's how it closes. Okay, so now we can decorate it. See how we go. Now, that's as far as I got with what I knew I was going to do. I've prepared some pansies and things over here, so let's see how that works out. As I said at the beginning, this is the beautiful fresh freesia, and I've cut myself a contrasting panel of Highland Heather. Sorry, I was just reading the comments at the same time, getting myself confused. So Highland Heather, so this is a 5x5 card. The Highland Heather is 4.5 square. Then I've got some of the really pretty designer series paper from the Pansy patch. I'm doing well today, Margie. I don't think I've said poppies a couple of times. The Pansy patch designer series paper, and that's a lovely sort of plaid sort of pattern there, just nice and plain. The other side is just pretty amazingly bright and cheery, and I will actually use that inside, but for the outside, because I want to decorate and not draw attention away from the decorations, I'm just using the plain plaid side. So we might as well get that done. We can actually decorate the outside first, get that out of the way so I don't lose all my pansies that I've cut out. Okay, so we've got a layer of Highland Heather. Oh, wrong side, don't do that. Now there is one other slightly tricky bit to this card, which we're about to get to, but you basically, you need to pop, you need to cut a C section of designer series paper to fit that inside part, but it's not too bad. Okay, so we've got the front. So any old normal card, we've got like this really nice front there. Then what I've got from the Tasteful Textures, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. From the Tasteful Textures dies, I've got this really nice large sentiment box in white. And I've also die cut and fussy cut various pansies just straight from the designer series paper. So I've got large ones, small ones. I've kept to the purpley coloured ones just because I knew that's what I wanted to do. I've got big ones, little ones, and I've got some leaves as well. So I'm going to actually just arrange some of these just straight onto the front of the card, making sure I've kept the others that I wanted to use. Wait a minute. Yep, they're there. Okay, so when you can see here with the designer series paper, that one side of one of the sheets just has all the beautiful poppies, I said it, pansies, which you can actually either fussy cut or die cut. So the good thing as well is that when you buy the dies, two of the dies actually fit pretty much perfectly these pansies. So you can, rather than fussy cut, which it's not difficult, they're not difficult shapes, you can actually die cut them out if that's what you'd prefer to do. So I have die cut these ones out here, and I've got some leaves as well. And look, to be honest, I couldn't be bothered fiddling around with the dies with the leaves, so I did actually just fussy cut some leaves from another piece of the designer series paper as well. Okay, so let's have a look. I'm going to pop the sentiment box in the centre there. Oh, and what I was going to say is this was like a part guy. He was sort of obviously on the edge of the designer series paper. And I thought, well, I've got most of you, and I'm sure that I could tuck without wasting him. I can tuck his where he's missing a bit behind something else, and no one would ever know. So that's what I'm going to do there. I'm just going to have him peek out where he's not cut in half. And I've got some of the little ones as well, and I thought I'd probably bring those in, something like that. So what do we think of that? I'm going to put the smaller ones, I might put them on some dimensionals just to give them some height. So that's going to roughly be the front there. I'm going to bring in a sentiment. So I'm going to bring in the happy birthday. This is from the Pansy patch. I'm okay when I actually read it because I can tell it's Pansy. It's only when I don't read it that I keep calling it other flowers. So I wanted to put those in place so that I could see where I'm actually going to stamp my sentiment, because obviously it's not going to be a central smack bang in the middle sentiment. It's going to be slightly off to the upper right hand side. That's why I wanted to see where my flowers were going to end up. So I'll just get rid of that. Probably could have decorated this before I added all the internals, because it is quite bulky now, but I don't think it's going to make too much difference. Okay, so it's with some black ink and my happy birthday just in the top right hand-ish sort of corner. Just make sure I'm straight. Put our happy birthday. And I'll grab my glue. Now, I personally wouldn't go too crazy with the embellishments on this card once it's finished, or when you're finishing it, only because it is quite bulky just as it is. You can see it's not going to be a delicate little flower when you pop it into the envelope. And then if you add heaps of embellishments and things, especially inside, you're going to have something that looks a bit like, I don't know, War and Peace that you're trying to pop into an envelope, so some sort of voluminous book. Okay, so I'm going to add my little pansies now. Pop this little guy down here with his cut edge. So I don't know what everyone's up to today. Lots of people watching from Australia, some from Wisconsin. Welcome. That's who's that? I didn't see. Susan. Hi, welcome. It's a quite dark, dreary Sunday morning here in Hobart at the moment. We've had a run of not particularly pleasant weather, but it is winter, I suppose. Okay, so as I say, I'm going to put these two little guys on some dimensionals just to give them a little bit of, where was I going to put you? There. Just a little bit of interest. And that one there as well. Okay, cool. Then I might bring in some leaves. I think things are quite pretty, don't get me wrong, things are pretty, but they often add an extra dimension when you bring in the leaves or the contrasting colour or the green or whatever. And I really sort of sometimes think that that the leaves can make something really pop. I'm just going to pop some of these little guys in and around. Try and put them in under the pansies. Sort of look like they should go that way. But that's all right. to go too overboard, but I think that's definitely added a little bit of something a little bit more special to the colour of it. I don't want to cover him over too much. That might just be enough. Just one there, since I've got glue on it. There we are. Okay, what do we think of that? It's quite pretty. I think I love those purples and pinks and sort of mauves all together. Okay, we've got a leaf left over there. We'll put him over there. I thought I could bring in, just to be a little bit blingy, I was going to bring in some, and sorry, I've moved away from my camera to try and find it. Bring in some of the ribbon. Oh, apologies, I'm going to have to find the ribbon. This was me being spontaneous. Where are you, ribbon? There it is. So this is the lovely freesia in colour ribbon that is new. So I wondered whether maybe I could do a little bow on there somewhere. Let's have a look. Let's do a bow first and see how we go. Okay, that was a fairly painless bow. I must be getting the hang of them finally. Grab my scissors. Morning, Sally. Okay, so that one there. Cut that one off the same. And we just find somewhere for it. So many beautiful things and you want to put them all on there. Sometimes it gets a little bit crowded. I want somewhere that I'm not going to cover too much over. It may not be doable. It may not be doable or needable. Is that a word? Needed? Needed. That's all right. I might leave that. I don't know that I need it. Maybe I should have thought about it sooner, but it was just a passing thought. I don't want to cover things over too much with ribbon, but I might bring in some dimensionals. You can see I'm sort of crafting on the run here. It's just that there's a gap there that I really need something in, don't I? And maybe some rhinestones is the answer. Then we get to do the fun part inside. Okay. Okay, that's quite nice. We'll go with that. I think actually if I was doing it again, I probably would have brought the sentiment down a little bit further, but because I was actually doing it from my first time with this one, I left it a bit, I erred on the side of caution a bit too much. But anyway, that's the front. That's quite pretty. I quite like that. I do need the ribbon, don't I, Jenny? I might have to play with it and see. Maybe make it a smaller bow and pop it on the front there. I just didn't want to cover over my pansies too much, but I probably do. Anyway, watch this space. When you see the picture go up online, it may have a ribbon. Yeah, I might make it smaller. I've gone a little bit overboard with the size of that one. So anyway, as I say, watch this space, see how it ends up. We'll move on to decorating the inside anyway. So this is the inside where all our fancy folding happened. Okay, so we need to bring in some decoration there. So the inside is a little bit, it's got one tricky part to the inside, and that is getting designer series paper to fit this where we glued, where we call our C sections. This is the bit here. So you probably need to get your ruler out and measure the dimensions that you need to cut that sort of C-shaped other people might find it easy. I just it was a bit difficult. So, but anyway, so I did write what I needed to do down, so I don't have to remeasure. So we're going to cut two 4 3/4 by 3 1/4 pieces of cardstock, and I'm going to use the pretty flowery side. So I might bring my trimmer back, and I've lost my little note that I wrote myself. So we want 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. So 3 1/4. Now, because the two C sections are actually sort of mirror images of that themselves, you have to sort of be a bit careful with the orientation as well. So it's probably best, if you're doing this, that you choose a paper that can go, you know, either way, so you don't have to worry about tops and bottoms and ups and downs. 4 3/4, that was nearly a disaster. Okay, so we've got, those are the two basic shapes, and as you can see, they, without the sort of the C bit cut out, they fit pretty much perfectly in that, on those two sides there. They fit there. If that book part wasn't there, they'd be fine. But you have to cut out the bit for the book part. So what you need to do to cut out the bit for the bookmark, and if you're making my design exactly, you need to start at 5 3, so you in from the sides 5/8 of an inch, starting there, and go up to 1 7/8. So starting there, 5/8 in, go up to 1 7/8. Okay, then flip it, don't turn it because you'll end up doing it from the wrong end, and then the same. So, sorry if you can't quite see that there. So it was 5/8 and go up to 1 7/8, so just before the 2, and then basically bring it in and join those two cuts up. So just cut now between the two. So from there to there. Okay, so that's hopefully now, drum roll please, that fits pretty much perfectly, yep, into there, with a little bit of a sort of border, sort of an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Okay, sorry, there, just like that. So let's do it again. So we've got a piece of cardstock which is 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. So we're going to start 5/8 of an inch from the edge and cut up to 1 7/8. Do exactly the same thing on the other side. And then join the cuts. Didn't quite take it far enough there. Cool. So that's the second one. I'll get rid of that now. And this one will go onto there. Just like that. Okay. Cool. So those are our two ends done. Now, easier way to be would just be to cut one single sort of rectangular designer series paper to fit there, and maybe a little bit for top and bottom. So maybe just your 5/8 wide, and just sort of have them as 3 different sections. But it's worth a little bit of a fiddle and a little bit of a experiment to get it in one piece. I think it just looks a bit smarter. So I'm just going to glue those on. Okay. That's the first one. Now those two bits that we actually call our book, the two bits that are elevated in the centre there, you could try and find a third piece of, or third pattern of designer series paper that you like and sort of highlight. And that's what I've done with the Christmas card. But in this one, I'm just going to use the same plaid side, the other side of this one, as I have on the outside. Just going to bring that into the inside. Okay, so there we are. So that's the two outside bits done. The inside bits, did I cut it already? No, that's too small. That's just an offcut. So for the these two forward face, the two book parts, you need two pieces of designer series paper, and they are 3 1/4 by 2 3/4. So we'll cut those as well. I'll bring my cutter back, and I'll pop those measurements into the comments as well. So if you're making my exact 5 by 5 card, those are the pieces that you want. So what was it? 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. Three and 1/4 and 2 3/4. And we need 2 of those. There we are. So I'm going to use the plaid side just there, just like that. Okay, I'll pop those on now. Oh, I wonder if I should have brought in some Highland heather. Oh well, that's fine. Too many layers in here would make it a bit cumbersome, I should think. And this one. Just on that side there. Try and make sure you even them top and bottom, because you will notice it when it's on display if they're not quite straight and even. There we are. Isn't that pretty? It's just so bright. You wouldn't think we were coming into winter at all. It's almost spring in the craft room anyway. Okay, so for the inside ones, I have another couple of sentiment boxes from the, what did I say? They were Tasteful Labels. So I've got one for that side and one for that side. And I've got some other bits and bobs of pansies that I have die cut out. So let's have a look at those as well. Okay, so from the die set, I was going to put some, or not for die set, from the pan, I was going to pop the other sentiments in. So I was going to wishing you a little extra happiness because you're you, and love you much. So I was going to put those two on either side of our opening there. So wishing you. So I might do that first, and then I can actually arrange my pansies. I nearly said poppies. My pansies around them. So this is the bigger one. We'll pop that sort of central. I'm just going to might bring my head in a little bit, or just bring this down so I can actually get it straight. There's not a lot of wriggle room here, so just forgive me for a second. I'm going to bring this straight under myself to stamp it straight. Hopefully straight anyway. My block isn't quite big enough. Actually, I'm going to swap blocks because that block's not big enough for me to see the edges and know where I am. So take 2, put you away. Bigger block. That's better. That's better. I can see now. Just line that up. Top, bottom, sides. Hopefully straightish after all my efforts. So there's wishing you a little extra happiness just because you're you. Oh, they're saying, Denise, yeah, Cheryl, it is a fun card to make. It's definitely one of those, I don't know about you guys, but I have sometimes cards, like you have sometimes foods. It's sort of, you think to yourself, oh, I haven't made that one for a while, and you'll make one, and then you go, okay, now I know why I haven't made one of those for a while, because it's very fiddly, and you end up going back to your normal cardstock and paper for a while, and then you think you'll give it another go. So this is a Love You Much. So I'm going to put that, might put that slightly, I'm going to make the wrong choice, and I want the pansies to sort of snuggle in around it. So let's just do a bit of pretending. Could do that way. Sticky fingers. So I'll do that sort of thing. So yeah, I'll pop it there to the right hand side maybe, but central. There we go. Cool, that's done. Okay. Okay, so we've got both of those. Let's bring our card back. So I'm going to pop them sort of like at sort of what do you call it? Diagonally opposite sides of the inside book. So the first one's going to be towards the top, and I'll put the second one towards the bottom, so that they're just a little bit interest for the eye. I'll pop this one towards there. Okay, and then Love You Much. Same sort of distance, but from the bottom rather than the top. It's a good thing with this little plaid pattern, you can get everything nice and straight, as long as your original piece of cardstock is straight. There we go. That's cute. So let's decorate around those. So I've got one of the big ones left that I die cut, so I might pop him on there. Or would he be better over here maybe? So yeah, I might pop him over here since he's big. With some leaves, and then the two little guys can sit over here. Yeah, that's going to work better. Two little guys sitting up over here. Okay, something like that. Oh, that's really sweet. Okay, so let's glue them down. Leaves. Got plenty of them here. I just went mad with my cutting, so with other colour leaves have I got? That one. I'll do that one. Okay. And these little guys, and that's the last of it, just about. And I'll work out what to do with that ribbon. I'll do that separate, off camera, as they say. Oh, that one can't be used. I put the glue on the wrong side. That was silly. Oh, I do need another leaf, don't I? I definitely need something down here. You'll have to be the glue wiped off. Here we are. Okay, and that's the inside done. So I have actually overlapped. You can see there those little, you might not be able to see, those little flowers, leaves are actually overlapping the edge of that book a little bit. And I don't think it matters too much because it will close and they don't get in the way of anything. So it looks quite pretty. So there is the inside of our pop-up book card. Did I actually say what it was called at the beginning? Anyway, yeah, pop-up book card. So there we are. So that's the inside there, which is really, really nice. I quite like that. Bring it a little bit closer so you can see. Hopefully the camera will focus. Has a bit of trouble with close-ups, does my camera. Okay, and then our outside. So bring our thumbs in, bring that there. All right. I've decorated it upside down. After all that effort, there's the front. And you open it up and it's upside down. Yay! Okay, I don't know how I can fix that. I'm not sure I can. Yes, okay, that's fine. Lesson for the day. Make sure you check your orientation before you get carried away. Anyway, it is a beautiful card. It's just upside down on the inside. Oh. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm laughing at myself now. That might be put aside for my daughter-in-law, who seems to get all my upside down cards. Okay, cool. Moving on. It's very, very pretty on the outside. And it's very, very pretty on the inside. But those two things are quite separate from each other. Anyway, all good. And there's a rhinestone on the back, which isn't much good. Okay, cool. Move on. That's our Pansy one. Okay, cool. We'll pop that aside. So I am going to do the same thing, but I'm going to assemble the Christmas one that I showed you first of all. So as I say, this is for a Christmas in July swap that I'm doing with my little card group. This is the original one here. And that's basically what I'm going to reproduce for you, hopefully the right way up with this one. You'll be pleased to know I've already done all the scoring, cutting and preparing. Here's one I prepared earlier, so you don't have to watch me do that excruciating thing again. So we have our card base there with the 5x5 on the outside, and we have our sort of double Wonder Woman on the inside there as well. So we can just do the decorating now. I've actually laughed and given myself an asthma attack. My husband says I am so unfit. He could well be right, but don't tell him. Okay, so this is the paper, as I mentioned, from and she says, reminding herself again what it's called, the Simply Elegant Designer Series paper. I am coupling it with some gold foil, obviously. You can see me there. Anyway, so some gold foil. So that is a 5x5 card, and that's a 4.5-inch square piece of gold foil. I would normally, because I'm a bit of a tight wad, when it comes to gold foil, I would actually cut the centre out of that and use the centre for some other project and only just leave a slight little edge of gold there. So that's a hint for anyone wanting to save on gold foil, but I won't bother putting you through that at the moment. I'll just be decadent and use the whole sheet. Then I have a I really have given myself an asthma attack there, haven't I? Oh dear. So forgive my rasping now. There's a 4 and so that's 4.5. That's 4.5. So 4 3/8 piece of the Designer Series paper, and that's quite a pretty sort of basic grey pattern, sort of paisley pattern on the other side. But I'm going to use that one on the outside there. So I might do the front first before I pass out from my asthma attack. No, I'm joking. They're never that bad. Not these days. So I'll pop the gold on first, as I say, a bit decadent. Whoever gets this one in the swap knows that they've got a full sheet of, a full piece of gold foil there. They should be very, very honoured if they get that in the mail. Then I'm going to pop the designer series paper, so with the gold side up on the outside on the gold. There we go. So gold, when you're trying to glue on gold, it take a little while to actually sit properly, because it'll also it'll move around a little bit because of the slippery surface of the gold. So just don't get too rambunctious with it to start with. That's my word for the day, rambunctious. Okay, so while that's curing, we'll do the poinsettia decoration. So this is from the poinsettia dies, which, as I say, are in the annual catalogue, carrying over from last year, which is really, really good. So you have, in the dies, you have the components or the petals of your poinsettia. So I've got large, medium, small, and a couple of really small ones there. So you cut it out. It's a two-part die. There's actually two parts to it, one that cuts out the outside and another that puts those cute little veins in there. I don't know if you can see in the light. There, you can see the veins that it puts in. So what I do is grab my finger and my thumb and I just give them a little bit of natural, I might have to get my Ventolin, a little bit of natural curl there, just in line with where the veins are. I might yell out in a minute to someone who's in the kitchen and say, get me some Ventolin. Only because I don't want you guys to have to listen to me rasping like some sort of wheezy something. Okay, so we're just curling those up just to give them a bit of a natural fur look. And then these little ones just with my thumbnail. Okay, then we'll assemble with some glue. Sorry, I'm thinking about my upside down card after all that. Oh dear. Okay, so there's our points, most of our poinsettia, and I'll just bring in the little tiny centre one as well. Yes, Margie, I definitely need to get a warm cuppa, I think. And maybe contemplate taking up woodwork or something. Oh dear. Oh dear. Sewing. Maybe I'll do sewing. Card making's definitely not my strong point at the moment. Anyway, so we've got our poinsettia. He's quite cute. It's lovely for, obviously lovely for Christmas time, but I think if you do him in other colours, you could probably use him all year round as just a general flower. I think he's just quite lovely there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is pop him on there, but just to make this an overly decadent card, I'm going to use some of the gold elements from the Expressions in Ink ephemera pack. Can you see that word? $20 for somebody who can tell me if I said that right. Ephemera. You'll probably all just tell me I was right now and expect your $20 in the mail. Anyway, so it's got some lovely laser cut dies, elements there. What I'm going to use is, I need to get a new one because I'd already used the one from the original, from the top one. Is there is a cute little, they're just really little, they're not like proper sentiment boxes or anything, they're just really little fine pieces of gold. Obviously there's leaves and things which we'll use as well, but these ones out here are basically just like little fine, hints of gold. You've got to be very careful because when I say fine, they are exceptionally fine. There, but there's lots of little bits in there. There's the internal bits. There's like a hexagony thing that you could use whenever you wanted, but I'm just going to use the biggest shape and just get that out. Just be really, really careful. Yeah, just like that. And it's even finer because it's got these little bits here that come out as well. Now, I'm not going to even pretend to glue this. I'm just going to sort of glue it, attach it with other things. Because if I try and put glue on that, I'm going to make a horrible, horrible, horrible mess. So you can see there, it's just, what's the best way to show you? on my hand maybe. It's just like the finest little detail of beautiful gold. Okay, so I'm going to pop that, and I'm reminding myself from my, wait a minute, oh, it's all right, I haven't done the inside yet. I'm just going to pop that on the center of my card front and then have my little poinsettia just off to the left-hand corner there, just like that. Now, it's not particularly doing anything. It's not holding a sentiment or doing anything like that. It's just there for the joy of being there. But I will actually attach it with a glue dot just to keep it in place while I add the other bits around it. So I'm just going to put a single glue dot just here. These glue dots weren't particularly gluey. I don't know if anyone who buys the glue dots found there was a batch that just didn't really want to stick to anything. I've been persevering. I didn't bother sending them back, but they are a little bit not right. Shouldn't say that, should I? So I'll just pop that just to get it as central as I can, just there. Then I'm going to glue on my poinsettia. Another pea flower. How many pea flowers are there? P must be the word letter to start flower names with. Pansies, poppies, poinsettias, petunias. What else have we got? P. Persimmon. Is there one called persimmon? Something like that. Anyway, far too many. Gets me confused. So there we've got our little thing there. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I've got some of the gilded gems somewhere. Yes, here they are. Here are my gilded gems. I'm just going to pop those on the corners, on these sort of little sort of points of our shape there, just to on the points of our shape. What's it Cheryl said? Very good, but yeah, they are, Cheryl, and I would suggest anyone who buys something that they're not 100% happy with to go back. A girlfriend of mine actually just got some inks replaced because they had actually leaked from the well, in delivery, which probably wasn't even a Stampin' Up issue, but she just rang them and they said, you know, throw that lot away and we'll send you some new ones. So, you know, they're very, very good. You don't have to go through hoops and prove and send photos and stuff like that. They'll take it on your word, sort of thing. That one doesn't want to stick, so I'm just going to pop some glue on the back of him. After saying I wasn't going to glue this one. No, it's the best company I've ever dealt with. And I suppose I'm a little bit biased, but the best company I've ever dealt with as far as that after sales goes. Okay. Oh, I'm going to use one of these big gilded gems on the inside of my poinsettia while I've got it open. So there we are. So I've got two, and usually because I go in threes, I'll put another one on. But I'm not overly sure where yet, so I'll come back to that. So I'm going to put the sentiment on here. I've got a little piece of very vanilla. Oh, this is all very vanilla, by the way. Very vanilla cardstock, which I think is about 5/8 of an inch wide. So I'm going to bring in the, there's a sentiment here in the, no, it's not that one. Which one is it? Another one of my favourites that's carrying on again is the Perfectly Plaid Christmas one. So obviously bringing in all the old Christmas ones because I haven't bought the new ones yet. May this special season be wrapped in love and joy. So I'm going to bring that onto that sentiment little strip of cardstock. And then I'm going to banner the end with my banner punch. just like that. And then I'm going to actually bring that into, sort of nestle it into the leaf, into the petals of my card, and let it sort of stick up a little bit, just to give it some of that 3D, so it looks like it's actually sitting, coming at you from the flower itself. Just needs to be a little trimmed a little bit. So just popping a little bit of glue on the back there, and just pop it in between those leaves. Okay, and then I'm going to pop just a dimensional there, just so it doesn't, if I was giving somebody the card, I'd probably let it go free, like completely free, but since I'm going to have to change the angle slightly, because I've got my dimensional there. Just change the angle slightly, that's okay. And put a dimensional on there. Yeah. And firm that down. And that'll help secure our little shape a little bit as well. So there we are, we have that. Okay, and I was going to put some leaves and things. So in this, what did we decide we set it as? Eupheria, whatever. We've got some of these little laser cut leaves as well. There's lovely leaves in the actual die cuts as well, so you wouldn't need to use them. It's just I think just wanted, since I'd started using this, I thought I'd continue. And it's a lovely shade of gold, so it matches our little shape in the centre there. So I'm just going to use a couple of these that almost looks like little berries or something there. I'm going to have those coming out to the top and the bottom there like that, and also that'll help secure our shape. A bit more. So one just there. So I don't think that shape's going anywhere now, even though it's only been secured with one glue dot. Okay. So there's the front of that one. It can't get much blingier than that, hey? Okay, so opening it up the right way, ta-da, and keeping it this way should get you guys to yell out like in a pantomime or something. You've put it up the wrong way. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so we're going to do that. Thankfully, as I say, I've already cut all the pieces of paper following the rules that we used before. So I have the 2 pieces cut like the C, which is basically the other side of the cardstock that I've put on the front. So they're going to sit nicely in there. That's the plan anyway. Come on, guys. Okay. And then I've got the 2 smaller pieces that are going to sit on our book. And this is a completely different piece. It's sort of just a basic grey on one side. It's got these beautiful sort of like archways on the other. But I think it's just too much for the inside because I want to decorate them. But yeah, the other side is spectacular. But I'm going to use the duller side there. Okay, so let's get gluing those. Seems a shame to put glue on there. Checking myself, yep. Although at this stage it wouldn't matter too much. Just pop those in. The good thing is when they're cut the right way, cut the right size, they actually just pretty much fit themselves. There's no fiddling with them to get them right. Pretty much snap to it. Okay. Okay, so that's that, those sides there. And break my heart, I'm going to put some glue on there. I have to use that rest of the sheet on something pretty special. Okay. Oh, sorry, that I think I breathed into my microphone. You'd see me, if you saw me, it looks like I'm at work in the call centre because I've got my microphone on, which I find works better with the sound. So hopefully I'm nice and clear. It might not be clear what I'm saying, but in volume-wise, it should actually be understandable, which I think my other microphone wasn't. Had its moments anyway. There you go. So that's that one. Hey, you, come out there. Okay, so that's pretty classy, isn't it? That's sort of different. That's so different from our pretty little upside down pansies. It's just sort of, this one's like more sophisticated, I think is probably what I'd say. Okay, so as again, I've got the same sentiment boxes that I cut with the tasteful labels, so but these are in vanilla, very vanilla. Plus I have a spare little flower from the Poinsettia dies, and I'm going to use, and I've thrown them over there, which probably wasn't a good thing, I'm going to use some other leaves and berries, little berries from the laser cuts as well. Everything's sticking to me. Okay, so the sentiments I'm going to use are a bit of a mismatch. It's a matter of trying to find stuff that fits inside nice and easily. Again, I think I'm going to use the Merry Christmas from the Perfectly Plaid. So the Merry Christmas is going to go on one of those. And then I've got Warm Wishes. Where's Warm Wishes? Warm Wishes, Warm Wishes. I think Warm Wishes is actually from the actual Poinsettia. Yeah, so Warm Wishes, I'm going to pop that as well. So sometimes it's a bit of a juggling act, trying to find the right sentiments that fit the right things. It's like when I used to do scrapbooking and to go to scrapbooking retreats, and ladies would sit there and create like 20, 30, 40 pages during a weekend retreat, but not have any pictures in mind for them. So they just create blank pages. I could never quite work out, I couldn't do it because I have to see the picture. I would always base the page on the picture. I could never actually have the picture to fit the page. I mean, their way was very, very efficient. But you know, I always liked to match my page to what, you know, what the kids might have been wearing or what they were doing, or rather than the other way around. I think these ladies would do a pink layout, for example, and then go home and dress the kids in pink so they matched the page rather than the page matching the picture, if that makes sense. Both handy, I suppose, and have their place, but I just could never get the hang of it, mostly because boys don't wear pink very often. Okay, so that's our Merry Christmas there. Sorry, I'm just talking for the sake of it now, aren't I? Then we'll grab our Warm Wishes. So I'm going to put the smaller one on the right-hand side and leave a fair bit of space above it, just so you can, you know, if you need to write something, you can write it on there. You could just leave it completely blank, I suppose, and then leave that room for the written message. But I'll just pop the little Warm Wishes on there. I have to clean up once we're finished. You should see off camera, it's like a pile, it's like a bomb. Okay, so we'll pop that one there. Okay, so that's your Warm Wishes. So obviously there's enough room there for you to write your sentiment, your personal message, you know, to Margie from Julianne or whatever. Okay, so we can pop these on. Again, I'm going to put one towards the top of one side and then the other one towards the bottom of the other side. So that one there. And I think these sentiment boxes really sort of suit, because they've almost got this sort of, I don't know, sort of really sort of, or not, sort of understated, but sort of quite elegant finish to them, which suits that paper. Okay, so we've got that one. Nearly done. She says checking again. Definitely hadn't changed my orientation without realising. Then I'm going to do is bring in this gold leaf here, which is just a couple of leaves. Just pop some glue on the back and bring him in just there. And just pop the little extra poinsettia petals that I did and just cover over his stalk, his stem, just like that. Okay. And then this little stalk, I'm just going to leave this side fairly plain. I'm just going to bring in the little stalk, pop some glue, and just bring those little berries in just above the sentiment box like that. Not much to it, just a hint of gold. A bit too much glue. Have to clean that off. It's made the gold not so bright. Okay. So there is the inside done with that one. It's quite nice, isn't it? I quite like that. So I think I'll be doing more when Christmas actually arrives. I think I'll probably be doing more and more of these to give away. Okay, so that's the second one. That's the right way up. So we've got 2 of those now. So if you're in my little Australian card group and you're taking part of the swap, you might be lucky to get one of these. I'm only going to do 2 because, as I say, I think it's definitely a sometimes card and not an everyday card. So there's 2 of those there, just like that. Okay, and then we also have, just for our very special sunny birthday, we have our poppies as well. Poppies, I said it, our pansies as well. Okay, so we've got we've got the front there. I really like the front. I'm so disappointed. Anyway, all good. I'll probably lie awake all night tonight and try and work out how I can fix that. I don't think I can. Okay, that's it there. Okay, so that's all I wanted to show you guys today. It's been quite a long video for me, 1 hour and 13, but thanks for persevering with me all the way through. Hopefully you've had a little bit of a giggle with me as well, and you've enjoyed this this card cut, this special fold card. As I say, I have the template here for producing my, you shouldn't put your wet wipes on your template. The template here for producing the 5x5 card that that I've made today. So I'll take a picture of that and pop it onto my Facebook page. If you're watching on YouTube, you need to pop over to the Facebook page to see that template. And look, I got to admit it, there are many templates for various sizes of this on Pinterest if you'd prefer to pop over and have a look there. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Thanks for having a bit of a giggle. Thanks for being there during my horsey asthma attack. If you have any questions about anything that you've seen today, they're all current products. Just give me a hoy, send me a message. There'll be contact details in the comments. And take care of yourself, everyone. Be safe, and I will see you all next time.